Deny the pain. Feed the rage. Doubt your feelings. Accept decay.
Love, one of the most powerful feelings a human can experience. So powerful that can make you feel anything is possible, live in a paradise. But what happens when the paradise crumbles? When a loved one leaves you? How do you deal with that? Everyone is different. Some take a breakup easily, but for others it's much more difficult. What all this have to do with the game? The sole developer of Philophobia, Tim Ruswick, tries to show what some people might go through borrowing from personal experience. This is a very personal project. I don't want to take words from his mouth, so I provided a link to his YouTube channel with better explanation than I can do. This is a dark game, touches dark themes. It doesn't have happy-go feeling to it, and that's okay, but it also wants to help others in similar situations to pull them out. There isn't a story in the typical sense. We follow Stuart after a really tough breakup and we guide him through the 5 stages of grief: denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and misery. Those are the 5 worlds, if you will, with multiple levels. Before starting each stage, there is a cutscene describing the state of mind of Stuart, how he feels, how he continuously goes deep down into the rabbit hole in a poetic way.
With the demon of denial gone, Stuart felt alone. He took a second to reflect deep within his bones. His actions in the past hadn't granted him revision, and in a twist of heart, he re-examined his decision.
This is actually cool. It's not just Stuart sad, now he's angry. It shows an effort to make you empathize with Stuart. Also, it's different from what we used to, so it feels fresh and interesting. After each boss, he jumps down into the abyss of the unknown, the abyss called mind. This further emphasizes the hole we can potentially dig ourselves. When you die, and you will die a lot, there is a voice that will try to wear you down with harsh words.
You'll never make it. Just die.
This might be Stuart's doubts and or fears that he has to face and struggle constantly, trying to break him and make him give up. Thematically fits extremely well, but with the difficulty of the game can get annoying by the end. Eventually I managed to stop paying attention for the better. When you combine each boss and the stage name tells a story of how Stuart feels at that time. For example, the first boss is a heart with spikes and 3 skulls circling around it. Each skull has partially covered face. One his eyes, one his ears, one his mouth. The stage is called denial. I don't wanna see/believe, I don't wanna hear, I don't wanna know, say. Complete denial after a breakup. Maybe I'm wrong. You have to interpret it for yourself. One thing all bosses have in common. They are saying love hurts. This is the type of story you have to experience because it's much more powerful and effective than I can describe it. Philophobia is difficult 2D platformer. Everything kills you in one hit or touch. To be honest, I expect it to be much more difficult. Don't get me wrong, this is still a challenging game, but I was expecting my ass to be handed to me. I've died a lot, but never to the point of frustration. There is a lovely counter at the bottom left corner to show you how much you suck. But almost every death is entirely your own fault. That's because the controls are solid. Gameplay starts very simply. You can walk and jump. With the beginning of each new stage, you get a new ability, Crouch. Shield, which is a piece of heart, a single dash, restored only after a jump, throwing the shield. It's used mostly to activate or deactivate switches. It also had the side effect to activate some traps if you're not careful. Giving you an ability each stage keeps the gameplay fresh. While not mind-blowing, all are executed very well and the levels are designed accordingly for them. What I appreciate when you've been given a new ability is that the first level has a relatively safe environment to try it out, and from there things escalate in difficulty. In terms of controls, it works almost flawlessly with my Xbox One controller. However, there is some learning curve about how the character controls. In other platforms, when you jump you keep the momentum even if you stop pressing the direction you want. Here it works a bit differently. To complete the full arc of the jump, you need to keep pressing the direction until you touch a surface. If you release it early, the character falls almost completely straight down. There is a very light arc. It's important to learn it quickly because obstacles require to let go of the direction or hold it until you land. I'm pleasantly surprised by that. It's a small change to the formula but makes enough difference to stand out in the crowd of 2D platformers. There's one more mechanic not explained at all. I discovered it by accident. Hiding might be intentional, but I don't see the point. When you dash and hit the edge of a platform, the character is bouncing up just enough to get on top. Again, some obstacles are designed to use this, especially if you are on hunt for collectibles. Levels start the same way as your movement, simple. Some obstacles to jump over, hearts that show up after you went through them, turrets that shoot a single bullet at a time, flying enemies, and so on. Everything kills you in one hit. Every single enemy or a turret, bullet, etc. is thematically drawn in the shape of a heart. I never knew such thing could be that scary. One laughs after you die. There's a lot of different enemies and obstacles to avoid throughout the whole game. As soon as you think you've seen it all, a new stage comes with new threats right until the end of the game. Mix and match with the previously seen and you've got pretty decent variety. One interesting aspect of the levels is the presentation. In general, everything is nice, clean, and enemies, obstacles, etc. are distinct from the background. The interesting part I'm talking about, you've probably noticed it by now. The light of the levels. It's like coming from our point of view and it moves with the character. I've seen similar style in games with top-down view, mostly, but never in a 2D platformer. Maybe I'm wrong, correct me in the comment section. It's an interesting decision with some caveats. It's a great way to hide collectibles and to stand out, but it also leads to some cheap and unavoidable deaths. I know the game is supposed to be difficult, not only just cause, but because of the theme, but still, those unpredictable moments can be annoying. In the grand scheme of things, this is a nitpick. For the completionists out there are 2 collectibles. In each level there is a single piece of broken heart to find. Some are hidden well enough, others are out there in the open, but it's tricky to reach them. If you collect one and then you die, you don't have to get it again. This is actually quite generous. You can go straight to the exit. What I usually did was get the piece and die, because often it's on tough spot to get and I wasn't concerned about my death count. Speaking of exits, it requires a key to be activated and the levels are constructed in such a way that you see most of it. The other collectible is Lost Souls. They are 26 and mostly well hidden. I've got 12 by the end of the game. Going through my footage, I saw some I've missed. This is a very solid game, however, there are some technical issues. Those will be probably fixed later down the line. None are game breaking, but it's worth keeping them in mind. The first is slowdown. Couple of times the game just drags, it just slows down. There is a fix in the Steam forum of the game, but the way I did it, it was just restarting the game. This didn't happen too often, maybe 2 or 3 times through the whole game. Second issue is the controller. You use the left stick to move the character, but when you get the ability to throw the heart, pressing the same stick also does this. What this does is not detecting your dash, which we use the most, because the heart has to be with you. As I said, it also can activate some traps, leading to some deaths. Now in the heat of the moment, you can't control how much you push the stick. The developer is aware of the bug and hopefully they will be fixed soon. I continued the game with the D-pad without any issue, it plays quite well actually. Despite some minor issues and some frustrating moments, I really enjoyed the game. The gameplay is solid, the graphics are simple, nice and clean. What keeps it apart from the others in the genre is the theme, dealing with the heartbreak. I never got tired of all the hearts and symbolism in the game. One thing I should talk about, and I adore it, is the dreary atmosphere. There is almost no music, just ambient tracks, but they are well done. They keep the feeling of dread, loneliness, and make the game a bit creepy. The only time there is music is during boss battles. Those tracks are hard pumping, fast moving, great to listen. In general, masterfully done. Really high quality. It's definitely worth your time and money. Now go and help Stuart and maybe you'll find something for you personally in the game.